एविडेंस जो कि एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट रोल प्ले करता है वेल डिसाइडिंग द केस बिफोर द कोर्ट एंड फॉर प्रूविंग द कन्विक्शन ऑफ क्राइम ऑफ अक्यूज्ड। सो आपने कभी क्या सोचा है कि कोर्ट किस तरीके से एविडेंस यूज करता है और उसे किस तरीके से एक्सेप्ट करता है? सो चलिए आज के इस वीडियो में जानते हैं दैट हाउ इंडियन एविडेंस एक्ट हैज बीन फॉर्मुलेटेड इन इंडिया एंड व्हाट इज द concept of res geste under Indian Evidence Act and the real meaning of evidence. Hi, welcome to Without Prejudice. So let's first understand the concept of evidence. So Indian Evidence Act was basically passed in the year 1872. And it was given to us by the Britishers, and since then we are using this law after making some amendments. Now if we see under this act, then there are total 11 chapters and 3 parts. Also here the evidence word has not been properly defined. It is only written under section 3 of Indian Evidence Act of 1872 that evidence can be oral or it can be in documentary form, and nothing else has been defined under this act. After passing this particular law, the court found that this law is very useful, as this law was saving the time of court and also helping the court to understand that which laws are useful and which laws are not useful. So before understanding the Indian Evidence Act, let's understand about the history of this law, make the concept more clearer. So we can see that this particular law in our current scenario is more preferred in the form of documentary evidence rather than oral evidence. Means court oral evidence accept तो करता है in certain circumstances, but court will prefer more upon documentary evidence. If the victim or accused is having the document, then the court will call for the documentary evidence and the court will not allow them to go for the oral evidence. But if we'll go to the history of Muslim law in the perspective of evidence, then we can find there that they used to prefer oral evidence rather than documentary evidence. Now जैसा कि आपसे मैंने पहले कहा था कि ये लॉ ब्रिटिशर्स की देन है हमारे इंडिया. सो दिस लॉ वॉज ड्राफ्टेड बाय देम 2 times in India. First, it was drafted in the year 1868 by Sir Henry Maine, but it got rejected because it was not complying with the societal norms of India. But later on, it was Sir Stephen who drafted this particular law and it got accepted in India in 1872. And luckily, we have this law right now. Interestingly, this law was used by 3 countries, that is India, Bangladesh as well as Pakistan. Yes, because this law was passed by Britishers before the partition of India. तो रेस जस्टे के कॉन्सेप्ट को जानने से पहले हम ये जान लेते हैं कि इंडियन एविडेंस एक्ट का कैरेक्टर क्या है. सो वी कैन से दैट इंडियन एविडेंस एक्ट इज बोथ सब्सटेंटिव as well as procedural law. Now you must be thinking that what is substantive and what is procedural law. So substantive law is something where you can find the explanation of your rights and duties, and procedural law is something where the procedure, that how the things will go on in the court has been defined. So as I said that Indian Evidence Act of 1872 has both the character, that is substantive as well as procedural. Now you might be thinking that what is the real character of this particular law. So this law is called as adjunctive law because this law is having both the character, that is substantive as well as procedural. So if the option will be given in your exam that first substantive law, second procedural law and third is adjunctive law, so the most appropriate answer will be adjunctive law. So now let's move into the concept of res geste. So you can see under Indian Evidence Act of 1872, the res gestae has been defined under section 6 of Indian Evidence Act. But there you will not find the mentioning of word res gestae, because res gestae, you can say that it is the Latin substitute of word same transaction that you can find under section 6. So res gestae means things done. Under section 6 you can find that the facts that are forming the same part of transaction are relevant, and also you can see that there are some facts that holds relevancy under Indian Evidence Act that starts from section 5 to section 55. In this particular section we can see three essential. First is forming the same part of transaction, second is existence of fact, and third is same time or place or different time or place. The raw meaning of this definition will not help you to understand the real meaning of res gestae. So let's understand this with the help of a simple example. If the accused is running behind the victim and victim is shouting that please help me, the accused will kill me. So in that condition, if later on the victim will found dead, then in that case the thing which victim said that the accused will kill me, please help, that statement or that part of transaction will be relevant under this section, that is section 6. So in this particular example we have seen that all the three essential of this particular section has been fulfilled. First, there was the transaction. Transaction was when the accused was running behind the victim, and also it was part of same transaction when the victim shouted that please help me, the accused will kill me. To get the clear picture of essential number 3, we can take one more example. So if there is a person who conspired two persons to wage war against the government, and these two persons waged war against the government by doing different act. That is, first person went into the market to collect the arms and ammunition, and the second person went to the public place and destroyed the property of the government. So here both of the person are doing the act in different time and different place, but the common thing is that they are doing these acts to commit the same crime, that is waging war against the government. So here the time and place are different, but it will form as a part of same transaction, because of which it will fall under section 6. So it will be relevant under section 6 and court will consider this case also. Now you can refer two case laws for this concept. First is Saval Das versus State of Bihar. So in this case it was seen that the cry of the child became relevant because the cry of the child was heard during the murder of his mother was happened. Another case is Shukar versus State of Uttar Pradesh. In this particular case, it was seen that victim rang the bell of witness and he said something and instantly he got unconscious, because of which the statement of victim became same transaction or formed the part of same transaction under section 6. So now, after understanding the basic concept of evidence and also the concept of res gestae, we can clearly say that it is not upon the discretion of court to accept certain facts or to deny certain facts. It is given under Indian Evidence Act from section 5 to section 55 that which facts should be relevant before the court and which should be not. So I hope that from this lecture you understood the concept of evidence and you got the concept of res gestae. Please like the video if you have learned something through this video, and also give your suggestion in the comment box.